Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Mark Lin. Namaskar, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Prime Minister Modi begins the second day of his visit to Japan. He'll be traveling from Tokyo to Sendai on a bullet train with Prime Minister Ishiba. Tokyo summit marks the deepening of the India-Japan relationship with joint declarations on defense, tech and sustainability. Trump's trade strategy is deemed illegal by a U.S. appeals court. They've allowed the tariffs until October, anticipating the U.S. Supreme Court's appeal. But the Attorney General says that Trump's administration is going to appeal this verdict. And in sports, India's Satwik-Chirag reached the men's doubles semi-finals of the Badminton World Championships in Paris. Sindhu loses in the quarterfinal. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Japan has added fresh momentum to diverse areas of cooperation between the two nations. Day 2 is high on technology quotient. Prime Minister Modi and his Japanese counterpart Shigeru Ishiba will ride a bullet train from Tokyo to Sendai and will witness a semiconductor manufacturing facility. Their destination will be a major semiconductor facility in Miyagi Prefecture. Semiconductors are the essential building blocks of modern electronics, acting as the hidden brains that make devices work. India and Japan, the partnership has tremendous potential, to offer the world reliable and credible alternatives to global supply chains of critical technologies. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Japan has added fresh momentum to diverse areas of cooperation between the two nations. Day 2 is high on technology quotient. Prime Minister Modi and his Japanese counterpart Shigeru Ishiba will visit Sendai in Miyagi Prefecture on a bullet train and witness a semiconductor manufacturing facility. Semiconductors are the essential building blocks of modern electronics, acting as the hidden brains that make devices work. The India-Japan partnership has tremendous potential to offer the world reliable and credible alternatives to global supply chains of critical technologies. Earlier on Friday, addressing the India-Japan Economic Forum, Prime Minister hailed the partnership between the two nations in critical tech like semiconductors.
जापान टेक पावर हाउस है और भारत एक टैलेंट पावर हाउस है। भारत ने एआई, सेमीकंडक्टर, क्वांटम कंप्यूटिंग, बायोटेक और स्पेस में बोल्ड और एम्बिशियस इनिशिएटिव्स लिए हैं। जापान की टेक्नोलॉजी और भारत का टैलेंट मिलकर इस सदी के टेक रिवॉल्यूशन का नेतृत्व कर सकते हैं।
In 2021, the Indian government approved semiconductor mission with a 76,000 crore outlay. From 2023 to 2025, rapid setup of major facilities by domestic and foreign firms with significant investments. India-Japan Semiconductor Supply Chain Partnership started in 2023. Japan holds significant global market share of around 30% in semiconductor manufacturing equipment. Japan occupies about 50% of the market share in semiconductor materials. Establishment of a semiconductor OSAT in Sanand, Gujarat by the Japanese semiconductor firm Renesas Electronics. Tokyo Electron and Tata Electronics have launched a strategic partnership to establish a semiconductor ecosystem in India. Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Ishiba will travel from Tokyo to Sendai in a bullet train. Japan introduced the world to the concept of new high-speed railways in 1964 and continues to be a global leader, pushing the boundaries of speed, capacity, and safety on its Shinkansen lines. India's first bullet train project is the Mumbai-Ahmedabad high-speed rail corridor, a 508-kilometer route connecting two major cities with technical and financial assistance from Japan using Shinkansen train technology. The project is currently under construction, with the Gujarat portion expected to be completed by late 2027 and the entire corridor by late 2029. In the spirit of strategic partnership between India and Japan, the new generation E10 Shinkansen train will be introduced simultaneously in India and Japan. The bullet train project, in many ways, symbolizes the core values of India-Japan relations, values of trust, speed, and innovation. Shubhendu Ghosh's report, DD India, Tokyo. And our correspondent Shubhendu Ghosh standing by. He joins us now from Tokyo. Shubhendu, when we look at the events today, one is the bullet train ride. It's not just a ride, isn't it? It's a vision actually to modernize Indian railways. And we look at the railways and we see that it carries around 25 million passengers across its vast network every day. So clearly, I mean, the Prime Minister is looking at something big here.
Absolutely. Good morning and konnichiwa from Tokyo. Mark, yes, the bullet train project is a mega partnership between India and Japan, and a classic example of the manner in which Japanese technology and Indian scale and skilled labor workforce can, in fact, make impossible possible. We've seen the success of the bullet train Shinkansen technology in Japan. It was one of the pioneers. And now Prime Minister Modi, under his leadership, we see the first network of a high-speed rail network coming up in India in the story that we informed. But that's not it. The vision of the Prime Minister is of a much expanded, some about 7,000 kilometers in the future network of high-speed train connecting all the major cities, all parts of India. So in that sense, it's a transformative mode to travel. And it is going to be significant, also a testimony between India-Japan partnership when Prime Minister says that Japan is a technology powerhouse and India is a talent powerhouse. The most important case study of this vision, in fact, is in the making in the high-speed rail network that India is working towards. And yes, when the two Prime Ministers travel in the high-speed bullet train in Shinkansen today from Tokyo to Sendai, in their conversation, it would definitely feature, perhaps Prime Minister Ishiba would share his experiences of high-speed train and Prime Minister about what kind of transformation it will bring about in a country like India.
Shubhendu, also on the other event of the Prime Minister is the visit to a semiconductor plant. Tell us a little more about it and, what's expected from that particular engagement.
Mark, it's a hugely significant visit to a semiconductor manufacturing facility that we learn in Sendai, a city in Miyagi Prefecture, is known for its expansive semiconductor infrastructure. And it is very significant because for many years now, especially since the pandemic, we've had conversations about providing alternative supply chains to critical technologies like semiconductors, which are so essential for from the smallest to the most complex electronic products. So that providing an alternative, that vision, we see it taking shape now. We know that India has already kick-started its own semiconductor mission. In fact, by the end of the year, the first semiconductor chips are going to be out. And Japan is an important partner country in that regard. There are Japanese country in the same model as Japanese automobile giants earlier, investing in India, manufacturing in India, and making that as an export base to send products outside in automobile sector. A similar success story is expected to be scripted in the semiconductor domain as well. The world for long has waited for alternative sources and supply chain of semiconductor and such technologies. And now we see Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to be reviewing some of the best practices as they exist in Japanese work culture and technology culture in Sendai. And the new plants coming up in India, application of those learnings are going to be hugely significant.
We leave it there. Thank you very much, Shubhendu Ghosh, for joining us for the moment from Tokyo. Now, a special yoga session was organized on Saturday at the observation deck of the iconic Sky Tree in Tokyo. The session took place in honor of Prime Minister Modi's Japan visit. At over 600 meters high, the Sky Tree is said to be the tallest broadcasting tower in the world. Earlier on Friday evening, the iconic tower was lit in the colors of the Indian tricolour to honor Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Japan. And day one of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Japan highlighted the deep-rooted diplomatic, economic and cultural ties between India and Japan, with Tokyo pledging to invest 10 trillion yen in India in the next decade. Both countries they've agreed on a joint vision, in fact, for economic and functional cooperation, and they've put out a post-summit list of outcomes, this is well into double digits. Here's Shubhendu Ghosh's report.
Two Asian nations, India and Japan, not only share common cultural traditions, but share even a stronger commitment for global partnership. This commitment deepened further as Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Japanese counterpart Shigeru Ishiba chaired the 15th India-Japan Annual Summit in Tokyo. India and Japan also signed series of important documents in key sectors including clean energy and critical minerals. Apart from this, leaders also announced a new target of 10 trillion yen of private investment in India and Japan.
आज हमने अपने स्पेशल स्ट्रेटेजिक एंड ग्लोबल पार्टनरशिप में एक नए और सुनहरे अध्याय की मजबूत नींव रखी है। हमने अगले 10 वर्षों में जापान से भारत में 10 ट्रिलियन येन निवेश का लक्ष्य निर्धारित किया है।
Both the nations signed a document with a joint vision for the next decade that includes India-Japan Joint Vision for the Next Decade, Joint Declaration on Security Cooperation, Action Plan for India-Japan Human Resource Exchange, Memorandum of Cooperation on Joint Crediting Mechanism, MOU on India-Japan Digital Partnership 2.0, Memorandum of Cooperation in the Field of Mineral Resources, launch of the India-Japan AI Initiative, Joint Declaration of Intent on Clean Hydrogen and Ammonia, Memorandum of Cooperation on Cultural Exchange, MOU on Decentralized Domestic Wastewater Management, Memorandum of Cooperation in the Field of Environment Cooperation, and implementation of Agreement on LUPEX. PM Modi stressed that the partnership between India and Japan is not limited to New Delhi and Tokyo. Rather, these engagements will deepen through institutional cooperation between the states of India and the prefectures of Japan.
हम मानते हैं कि जापानी टेक्नोलॉजी एंड इंडियन टैलेंट आर अ विनिंग कॉम्बिनेशन। जहां हम हाई स्पीड रेल पर काम कर रहे हैं, वहीं नेक्स्ट जनरेशन मोबिलिटी पार्टनरशिप के अंतर्गत पोर्ट्स, एविएशन और शिप बिल्डिंग जैसे क्षेत्रों में भी तेजी से प्रगति करेंगे।
Japanese PM Shigeru Ishiba called for more high-skilled talent from India for the growth of Japanese economy.
Indian STEM talents are highly competent, but the Indian students coming to Japan to study are less than 2,000. We need more high-skilled talents from India for the growth of Japanese economy and for the vitalization of the local communities.
From free and fair Indo-Pacific to shared concerns towards terrorism and cybersecurity, India and Japan's partnership stands as a testament to mutual trust and deep-rooted shared values.
At the 15th India-Japan Annual Summit, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba presented an ambitious and expanded roadmap, a roadmap that takes into account geopolitical realities, emerging technologies, and demographic opportunities. With camera person Anil Thakur, Shubhendu Ghosh for DD India in Tokyo.
And other stories now. India's Law and Justice Minister Arjun Ram Meghwal has said that India is steadily positioning itself as a global hub for arbitration, with a focus on establishing a network of credible arbitral institutions. Meghwal was addressing the first meeting of the India-Singapore Joint Consultative Committee established under the MOU on Cooperation in Law and Dispute Resolution in Singapore on Friday. Speaking on the occasion, the Law Minister highlighted that the MOU reflects the shared resolve of both nations to deepen institutional cooperation in the fields of arbitration and mediation. And he noted that alternative dispute resolution has become central to India's legal reform journey. During the meeting, both sides also shared best practices from their jurisdictions in the areas of institutional arbitration, mediation, and commercial dispute resolution through courts. Still to come here on DD India Live. France, Germany call for more pressure on Russia amid Putin's reluctance to meet Zelensky. Trump's move to end Venezuelan protections halted by appeals court.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Mark Lynn. A divided U.S. appeals court ruled on Friday that most of Donald Trump's tariffs are illegal, undercutting the Republican president's use of the levies as a key international economic policy tool. The court allowed these tariffs to remain in effect or in place through up to October the 14th. This is to give the Trump administration a chance to file an appeal with the U.S. Supreme Court. Now, Trump has made these tariffs a pillar of the U.S. foreign policy in his second term, using them to exert political pressure and negotiate trade deals with countries that export goods to the United States. But the tariffs have given the Trump administration leverage to extract economic concessions from trading partners. They have also increased volatility in financial markets. Now, the U.S. court has said that the statute bestows significant authority on the president to undertake a number of actions in response to a declared national emergency. But none of these actions explicitly include the power to impose tariffs, duties, or the like, or the power to tax. Earlier, the U.S. Appeals Court has ruled that most of Trump's global tariffs are illegal, stating that he exceeded his authority under emergency powers. Now, the U.S. president has responded, calling this ruling incorrect. He asserted that all the tariffs will remain in effect, and he warned that lifting them would harm American workers and manufacturers, and he pledged to defend his trade policies as essential to national strength. There's been another blow to the Trump administration. A federal appeals court has also blocked the administration's effort to end temporary protected status for hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans living in the United States. A three-judge panel of the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals unanimously upheld a lower court ruling that maintained temporary protected status for Venezuelans, while the TPS holders, they challenge actions by Trump's administration in court. So a further appeal by the administration is likely, and a spokesperson for the U.S. Department of Homeland Security in a statement said that the ruling delays justice, it undermines the integrity of the immigration system. The temporary protected status, the TPS, is available to people whose the home country is experiencing, natural disasters, armed conflict, and some extraordinary events. but it provides only eligible migrants with work authorization and temporary protection from deportation. Updates on the Russia-Ukraine conflict, and Kiev is engaged in a diplomatic push to try and bring to an end this conflict, which is in its fourth year, and to secure critical commitments from its partners to fend off any future invasion. President Zelensky urged allies on Friday to swiftly elevate talks on security guarantees for Ukraine to the level of leaders. The Ukrainian leader was speaking at the official opening ceremony of the National Military Memorial Cemetery on Friday. The Ukrainian president said that he expected to continue talks with European leaders next week on commitments to protect Ukraine, adding that US President Donald Trump should also be involved.
What we want is these security guarantees from key European countries and the United States, were supported by the European parliaments and the US Congress. Yes, we want legally binding security guarantees. We do not want another Budapest Memorandum or the Minsk agreements. Regarding the security guarantees, we are organizing the European track next week so that everyone understands clearly the architecture. Then, during a meeting next week, we want to connect with President Trump and tell him how we see it.
Zelensky also raised Trump's self-imposed deadline for deciding on new measures against Russia if President Putin fails to commit to the one-on-one meeting with the Ukrainian leader. The Ukrainian officials say that Russia, which has continued attacking cities as well as other parts with missiles and drones, it's pressing a battlefield offensive and has no interest in seeking peace. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky, his chief of staff, Andrei Yermak, has also held a meeting with the U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff. They had discussed the need to pressure Moscow to bring peace. And more on the same story, France and Germany on Friday also vowed to step up pressure on Russia over its war against Ukraine, threatening further sanctions if President Putin failed to turn up for talks with the Ukrainian leader. The French President Macron, he pledged a continued push for tougher measures on Russia. The German Chancellor Merz, he said that the war in Ukraine could still last on for a few months, but Kiev's supporters are ready to continue their aid. He also said that it seems clear that there will be no meeting between Putin and Zelensky.
The coming days will be decisive, marking the end of the period agreed upon with President Trump and President Zelensky to secure initial meetings, and we will continue to exert pressure for additional sanctions to be adopted by ourselves, and we are ready for that, but also by the United States of America in order to force Russia back to the negotiating table, while at the same time maintaining our support. This war may last for many more months. We should be prepared for that. We are prepared to act in close coordination with the European partners, with the Americans, and also with the coalition of the willing. Emmanuel Macron has pointed out that there are 30 countries worldwide that are ready to help Ukraine and are doing so very practically. Keeping this coalition of the willing together is one of our urgent tasks. I want to say it once again.
And on the eve of a visit to China, the Russian President Vladimir Putin, he blasted the Western sanctions. Russia and China jointly opposed discriminatory sanctions in global trade. Putin said in a written interview to the Chinese official Xinhua news agency. This was published on Saturday, and Putin will be in China, Russia's biggest trading partner, from Sunday to Wednesday in a 4-day visit that the Kremlin has called unprecedented. Putin will first attend the 2-day summit of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization in Tianjin, and then the security-focused SCO, founded by a group of Eurasian nations in 2001, has expanded to 10 permanent members and now includes Iran and India. Well, Putin will then travel to Beijing and he will hold talks with the Chinese President Xi Jinping, and he will be attending a massive military parade in the Chinese capital commemorating the end of World War II after Japan's formal surrender. India's top men's doubles pair, Satwik-Chirag, Ranki Reddy and Chirag Shetty, they exacted sweet revenge on Friday as they defeated the Malaysian pair of Aranchia and Wee Yik Suk. They won 21-12, 21-19 in the quarterfinals of the BWF World Championship in Paris. The win avenges their loss to the same duo at the Paris Olympics quarterfinals. Now, this victory guarantees Ranki Reddy and Shetty a medal. They're second at the World Championships. They previously clinched a bronze in 2022 edition in Tokyo, where they were ironically ousted by the same Malaysian pair in the semi-finals. Now, with this result, the streak of winning at least one medal at every, Badminton World Federation or the World Championships since 2011 continues unbroken. Satwik and Chirag, in fact, will take on the world number 11 now, Li Yu and Bo Yang Chen of China in the semi-finals on Saturday. Let's wish them all the best. That's all we have in this edition of DD India Live. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. My name is Mark Lynn. From all of us here in Delhi, thank you very much for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.